Welcome to another travel talk with Selling Travel. Today I'm joined by Becky Frall, Head of Visitor Attraction at West Midlands Growth Company, and Maria Sykes, Country Manager for Australia and New Zealand at VisitBritain. Together they'll be telling me all about the visitor attractions in the West Midlands area and why next year is so significant for the region. So thanks both for joining me. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Jessica.
So let's kick off by talking about next year. 2022 promises to be quite an exciting year for West Midlands, as Birmingham is set to host the Commonwealth Games. So tell us what we can expect.
Well, we are so looking forward to hosting the Commonwealth Games next year, and we've got a beautiful lead into that because we are currently in the West Midlands hosting the UK City of Culture in Coventry. So we've got this fantastic Games Time cultural programme which leads on from Coventry's wonderful itinerary of activities this year. And so that all starts in May 2022 and gives us this lovely warm up to the Commonwealth Games, which you will associate more closely with all of the sporting activity, which happens just at the end of July and into August. So if you think of the fun and excitement that everybody's getting into the Olympics this year, we're going to be mirroring that in Birmingham next year, which is just fantastic.
Wow, so a lot going on then. Culture, sports. I mean, it's a visitor's dream, really. That's the time that you want to be in the West Midlands.
It really is. And the great thing is that whether people choose to come to a particular event for the Commonwealth Games or to see a particular performance that they're really interested in, the West Midlands has got a number of destinations where they can extend their stay and go and do and see other things, so family attractions or other cultural activities or more events that we're putting on in the region to make sure that there's a packed itinerary for the visitors who come to stay here.
Okay, and can you give us an example of some of those events leading up and what visitors can expect? How are you preparing to keep them entertained and keep that buzz going?
Yeah, we've got a couple of things which we can support our industry partners in preparation, which is a really key part of the business and tourism programme that we're running with colleagues at VisitBritain. And some of those things that our industry partners might want to get involved with are specifically targeted to our travel trade partners. And we'll be doing educationals, we'll be doing activity to support our own industry members here in the West Midlands to get the right product out there for the travel trade so that we can use the extensive distribution channels to target those new and returning visitors who might not have been up here to Birmingham and the West Midlands destinations in a while. And we're also running some training programs for our frontline staff so that they become wonderful hosts and ambassadors for the games, but also for the region. And you know what it's like when you go in somewhere and you're met by the reception staff or the hotel concierge, and they're really on their game and they know exactly why you're here, what you might do, and then they give you their own personal recommendations because they understand what you like. And that's the sort of training and welcome that we are going to be putting into place so that all of our colleagues in the travel trade are really confident that their guests will have a fantastic time when they come here. We've got all sorts of hooks for the trade to be able to showcase to potential clients. So all the things from 10 Michelin starred restaurants across the region for the people who like the high-end things in life, through to brilliant family attractions. We've got a wealth of Merlin attractions here, including Sea Life Centre and the Bear Grylls Adventure, Lego Discoveryland, and we've also got some brilliant independents. So the Black Country Living Museum, which is in Dudley, is the backdrop to the filming of the Peaky Blinders films. So you get not only the brilliant sort of whole day living museum experience, but you can also sort of picture yourself there. And they run some brilliant experience nights where everybody turns up in those sort of 1930s costumes with the flat caps and all the women in their gorgeous dresses, with all the music from the era as well. So yeah, there's really a really wide range of activities and attractions which will suit many different audiences that your readers will be targeting.
Great. I'm sure that we've all wanted to be transported back to that era at some point in time. So I know that was a huge draw last year, and it's great that we've got this new hook and some fresh kind of engagement with the trade, and yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. So going back to the games, how will they benefit the West Midlands region and I guess the wider UK?
Yeah, so what we know, particularly for our international visitors, is that when people come and visit a couple of destinations, their level of satisfaction with their visit is really much higher than if they'd just gone to one place. So the reason we're working hand in hand with our VB colleagues in our target market countries is that automatically, of course, international visitors think often London first, but we can offer them a really easy journey from London up to Birmingham and the rest of the West Midlands, because we're only an hour and 20 minutes away on the train, and we're a really, really accessible region. So by working with Maria and all her colleagues in market, we're able to put together the activities and the motivations to travel that we know will attract those visitors from our Commonwealth countries. And then we can put a proposition to them, which includes some of the other areas which we know people love about the UK. And that's really important to our international market, because we're selling the whole country as well as Birmingham as the gateway to the West Midlands region. And Maria, I'm sure, can sort of give some ideas of what some of those key motivations for travel are for some of our inbound visitors.
Yes, Maria, do tell us, how are you promoting the UK, and what would an ideal itinerary look like?
Well, look, we all know that sports provide a massive shot in the arm for tourism. So we are as excited as Becky about really using this major event of genuine world-class caliber to shine a massive showcase spotlight on the West Midlands, on Birmingham, and to really do it promoted as a visitor destination that is unparalleled on a global stage with 1.5 billion broadcast eyes gazing in. And what we know, as Becky was saying, you know, when we run these major events, satisfaction goes up. You know, after the Olympics, we saw that people really regarded Britain's warmth of welcome as so much more favourably after they'd attended that. We know that when people visit Britain for a sporting reason, and by the way, it's about 2.2 million people inbound into Britain every year that are drawn there by the sporting prowess. Britain does sport brilliantly. Not only football goes home, a lot of sports go home when they're talking about the West Midlands. I'm sure Becky will tell you about the tennis heritage of the West Midlands. Tennis might be going home in 2022. But you know, these major events, they add brilliant value. They don't just create luster and a palpitation as people buy into their rivalries and teams that they're watching. But people who go there, actually, they do more, they stay longer, and they spend more. So your average visitor spends, I think it's about £600 to £700, and then if you're looking at your sports related visitor, they're spending about £1,000. So they're spending about 11 nights on average, not 8 nights, which is the average. And in terms of the British government's levelling up agenda, you're seeing out of all of these 3 Commonwealth nations, travellers who like to get beyond London, travellers who are adventurous, who like to hire cars and get into the regions and rural areas and get off the beaten track. And, you know, Aussies love to do that. So to have an event of this calibre gives us an opportunity to create awareness of the West Midlands, which maybe isn't as well understood as London. So what better opportunity than this for us to say, right, maybe you need to understand the West Midlands, because it has got a lot going for it, as Becky said, and these games will allow us an opportunity to really dive deep on that story and bring a spotlight on it.
Excellent. It's just another hook, isn't it? It's just another reason to kind of shine that light, the spotlight on the West Midlands, as you say. So what kind of itinerary will you be recommending, particularly around the West Midlands, and then for a 2-week stay? Would you incorporate London in that and maybe some of the countryside? What would that look like?
I will defer to Becky on itineraries around the West Midlands, but you know, I could go, but I'll be on your turf, I fear, Becky.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, we are working through our hero themes. So our strategic look for developing tourism across the region is being given a brilliant shot in the arm by the Commonwealth Games hosting programme. So our golden thread is going to be the cultural and sporting offer, as you would expect, because of the Commonwealth Games. But it's really important to us to use the Commonwealth Games as this moment in time, because we are going to have so much attention focused on Birmingham as the host city and the regional destinations. But critically, we can't just let that moment go. What we need to do is to reset the reputation and the awareness of the region, and then be able to demonstrate to our potential visitors that we have ongoing reasons for them to come and stay. So this business and tourism programme, which we're launching, is very much focused on using that spotlight, but also making sure that we set the foundations for future visits. So whether people are interested in taking a narrowboat along the waterways, which we know scores really highly for our international and our domestic visitors, and Birmingham is really the hub of the UK's canal network, with fantastic links out through the secret highways into the countryside and linking up the different cities. So you can have this really mixed, relaxing break through those rural idylls, which people very much associate with the English countryside, but then have these amazing cultural highlights where you come to a city and we can sustain that world-class cultural offer. So Birmingham Royal Ballet, or the Symphony Hall, or spoken word poetry, or street art. So wherever your sort of preferences lie in terms of the cultural offer that you like to go for, we've got all of the culture on that side. Plus, Maria was talking about the origins of lawn tennis, which is where the game all started, which we've got over in Edgbaston, and likewise, you know, a fantastic offer on cricket. So we've just run one of the hundreds games, which they brought in. We're still doing the T20s, and we've got another couple of test matches coming up. So all being well, we'll be hosting the New Zealand team as well in the summer. And that builds on all of the other sort of sporting activities, which are really, I think, generating a lot of excitement, because people forget that there's such a wide range of sporting events to view until something like the Olympics and then the Commonwealth Games come up. And suddenly you've got this fantastic range of everything from street sports like skateboarding through to kabaddi and badminton and gymnastics and swimming and diving. And it's just such a rich menu of activities. So there are those sort of cultural and sporting opportunities and the waterways, but as you would expect, we've also got that fantastic food offer, from pop-ups to Michelin stars, and we've got beautiful areas of sort of blue and green ways. So for our more active guests, there's walking and cycling opportunities, and at every point we're encouraging them to link up that sort of countryside and town offer, so that you really get the best of both worlds on that lovely week or 2 week trip, because you then get that richness and you get the genuine opportunities to sample what we've got to offer both our international visitors, but also people who maybe haven't considered coming up to Birmingham and the West Midlands destinations before for a short break. And this is just such a great time to come and try that out. And what we know is that people who come and visit absolutely love it, and they recommend it to their friends and family, which they wouldn't do if they hadn't had a superb time here.
Oh, amazing. Sounds like such a diverse region with plenty of sprinklings of sport and culture and culinary, and bringing everyone together, because I think everyone has really missed the buzz of a crowd, or, you know, to watch theatre performances and things like that. So let's hope everything goes smoothly for next year. And
absolutely.
Tell us what plans have been put in place to support the Games next year. You're expecting a huge influx of visitors. I'm sure the trade will want to know about the new travel trade lead. So yeah, do tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, we're really delighted to welcome Sam Bailey to the team. She is our travel trade lead. She's worked with American Express, she's worked with Birmingham Airport, so her experience is second to none. She really understands what's needed by our trade partners, and she's in a great place to sell the destination as well, because she's got that experience of working in Birmingham and the region already. So you can see from both sides of her commercial and her destination experience that she's a fantastic lead for the travel trade programme. She's currently going through our audit of attractions, experiences and accommodation to make sure that we're really starting to work with the people who are going to be giving your readers the best experience for their clients. And we're helping them to get onto different distribution channels, including TXGB, which is Visit Britain's dedicated trade portal. And it means that they can bring together itineraries and bookings for their clients and really see the range of activities that's on offer. And then we're working with each of those businesses to make sure that they've got their pricing mechanisms right, to make sure that they're really showcasing their product in the right way to give that appeal. So whether it's the Shakespeare birthplace in Stratford-upon-Avon, through to activities that we've already talked about in the centre of Birmingham, or going out for the heritage offer across the Black Country. We've got designer makers, we have the glass biennale, we've got jewellery quarter makers, leather factories. We've got just such a wealth of crafts and arts people as well, and there's all of those sorts of experiences that people are really enjoying more and more, and we're making sure that those are set up to be accessible to the trade, because, well, you'll know as well as we do that often in the first instance, new experiences are very focused on the consumer market, and then they need a little bit of support to understand how the travel trade works and how they can really access the amazing client base that are keen to bring them in. So that's all the work that Sam will be doing, alongside working hand in hand with Maria and the team, and in India and in Canada as well, to showcase through educational packs and tours and working with press and the highlights of the West Midlands region, to really, it's going to be an absolutely transformational step change in the way that we can work with the travel trade through this amazing opportunity of the Commonwealth Games hosting.
Oh, that's really great to hear, because I know that the trade really value that kind of support and in-depth knowledge that someone like Sam can provide. So that's good to know. And are you experiencing a kind of boost in bookings for next year? Is there high demand? Should agents be thinking about booking way in advance? Yeah, tell us what they need to know.
So from the domestic side, and then shall I pass to you, Maria, after that? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. As you would expect, for Games time itself, we know that accommodation in both Birmingham and our regional destinations is going to be absolutely maxed out. So if any travel trade operators are very, very keen to have groups coming in or individuals booking for Games time, do it now. The rest of the cultural programme will offer a little bit more fluidity. So there'll be moments in time where we have a really big performance or event that the city and the region will become really busy. And there'll be other slightly quieter times where we'll be able to work with weekday visits a lot more easily. So as with any major event, in the lead up and then during the event, there's going to be times where you definitely can take a little bit more time to think about putting that itinerary together and that perfect match for your clients. But if you're looking towards Games time itself, don't delay.
And from the international side, I guess it's not a dissimilar story, other than we have to obviously look at when we're free to travel again. So what we do know is there is really extraordinary pent-up demand to travel. So I think you can rest assured that the second we can, there will be a deluge. So what we're trying to do here, and will be a very broad 2-year campaign where we're targeting the key Commonwealth markets in Visit Britain, where we've got really long-standing, ingrained and strong in-market presences, networks and partnerships across the trade in those countries. So we're going to make sure that we're doing everything possible to enable them to be ready to sell Britain when those restrictions are eased. And that goes across really profiling that warmth of welcome, the reassurance it's a safe, warm, brilliant, funny, brilliant destination full of brilliant people. And we're going to be pushing those promotional messages across, content partnerships with media, supported by brand solars activity across 3 nations, fully integrated end to end. A really strong push with the travel trade, with OTAs and tour operators, educating them, developing product on the West Midlands, really creating experience awareness, because as you've heard from Becky, there's a lot to love and awareness. There is a gap here. We've got an opportunity now to fill an awareness gap in these nations. So when that time comes to travel, the West Midlands genuinely is top of the list. And as I've said, we've got the data that sporting events provide these platforms. People do travel for them, they do spend for them, and they love them. And that's part of Britain's heritage cultural identity. So you're going to see travel. We will have a fully integrated, always on promotional campaign across 3 nations on all VB channels and all social, including a dedicated landing page. And I think I'm sort of embargoed and silenced, but I'm hearing talk of some really cool milestone showcase events of the region in market. And I'm itching to tell you some of the early ideas, because they really do sound quite brilliant, with little chunks of Birmingham popping up in Sydney, maybe, like it will be properly fabulous. And we're building these key milestone events. We'll be focusing around the international ticket sales release in September. And then, of course, a huge barrage of activity kicks in around the Queen's Baton Relay across all 3 nations. So all this is just a brilliant opportunity to tell the story that we all know about. It's a message of welcome. It's a safe, warm, welcoming place. And we're going to flex our muscle and show how Britain hosts sporting events that are absolutely top notch. I mean, going back to 2018 here on the Gold Coast, we all loved the Commonwealth Games, and really it was a coming of age moment for that part of Queensland. And there was some commonality here. People know Brisbane in Australia. Maybe people had some fixed ideas about the Gold Coast. Well, I can tell you the Commonwealth Games in 2018 threw them out the window and really reinvented the brand reputation of the Gold Coast for Queensland. And oh, look, now it's the Olympic city in 2032. I mean, this is what can come from these opportunities to just let the world know at scale what you're bringing to the table. And I think that will absolutely play out for the West Midlands, because it's just a matter of letting people know all those brilliant things that Becky's been telling us about.